So let's talk about the Korg 700 FS and why it might be a flop. I'm Zach Marr from Alamo Music here in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, turn on your notifications. This is our Alamo Sound Lab channel where we talk about all things music tech related. And today we're talking about the Korg 700 FS, which seems to not be selling as well as I thought it would have. And to me, that's really confusing because it's such a cool instrument and it has such a neat kind of lineage with Korg and kind of its first synthesizers, the 700 and the 700S. And so when I thought they brought this back I don't remember when they announced it at the beginning of the year, and basically I missed the opportunity to order it from Korg. They basically sold out. I was really disappointed. I was like, this seems like it's going to be a no-brainer. People are going to buy it, etc. So I was really surprised that they became available again from Korg, and I was able to order a few for the stores. But I did that mainly because I like the instrument myself personally, and I don't know if that was necessarily a good business decision, but I want to talk about why I think this may be struggling in the marketplace. And I think it has to do with, and I asked my friend this the other day, Jack Zimmerman, I was texting with him, I was like, why are people not interested in this? And he said, well, it's really expensive, and it doesn't have the same history as something like the miniMOG. And I think those are fair points. I think the 700 FS belongs to this category of early Japanese synth that there's Yamaha, Roland, and a Korg version of this. They were organs. They were basically instruments that were designed to be played with organs because the origin of synthesizers came out of the organ business. And they were designed as accessories to organs. And to me, the Korg 700 is the best designed and the most interesting of those early 70s Japanese synths. Although I would say the Yamaha is one of the stranger ones, the SY1 and SY2, very cool, very strange. But in terms of musically interesting and kind of useful, I think the 700 definitely is the most interesting. And it also is like the only option if you're interested in like early 70s Japanese analog style synths. This is the only option that I'm aware of that gives you access to that in a modern version. And yeah, it is expensive. It's like almost double the price of the vintage one. So I think that might be part of it as well. But it also fixes a lot of the things that are annoying about the early ones. We've done 2 videos on those early, the 700 and the 700F and 700S. Alex Balls also did a great video on those and the history of them. It's too bad that Korg didn't do the miniKORG, a reissue of that, which I think is that's like, would make it a contender with some of the Moog monosynths that are out there. It's just, that thing is crazy, probably one of the coolest monosynths from the 70s. But that aside, what this does do is it adds a spring reverb, which is a nice touch, but it also has some presets, allows you to do some presets. It's got a bunch of connectivity in the back. It's got stereo outs and a headphone jack. And these early synths, all you got was like a single instrument cable out, so you couldn't even use headphones with it. It could only be plugged really into a mixer or an amplifier. So you fix all that. That is super annoying in the early ones. You get a nice modern power supply, and then you get things like arpeggiators and the connectivity, MIDI connectivity, CV gate, things that were not present on these early ones, and then some ability to store a few patches. It's not a whole lot, but again, early on there was no patch storage. And so, it also comes with a big problem with these was if you have vintage ones, this part, they had these like things that would prevent you from doing that. And basically, they gave you ones that don't have those. They give you an extra set that don't have them on, or you could turn them around. But they just did little things that made it more usable. I think some of the thing, the knobs don't feel as kind of heavy duty as the original ones, but the case they give you with this is like a hardcore 70s synth case. It's pretty heavy duty. It feels nice. It's just a nice little package, and I just think people don't necessarily are not that interested in those early Korgs, and when we did the videos on them, people weren't that interested in it. It just didn't have this place in history that I think the memory Moog, not the memory Moog, the Moog, the mini Moog has, and so I think there's just not as big an audience as I think Korg might have thought there was for these. But and also as aftertouch, that's another thing they added to this, which in those early ones, the Yamaha SY1 was the only one that had it. So it's just a weird thing. I think these will be collector's items one day. I think it's just a cool thing that they did. And I hope that they pick up at the end of the year and people take advantage and get them. But it's just, I wanted to make a video talking about what I think was at stake and why it may have flopped. There's some other great videos out there that go into the details of what all is here. Basically, it's a dual VCO synth that's got a lot of quirkiness because this was pre-norms for what was later to be normal in every synthesizer. And so really the second oscillator is something that you don't have a lot of controls over it, but you can use it to do some kind of like modulation and create interesting kind of FM, AM type sounds. And also do a duet and where you control the pitch from these two knobs. Something I didn't realize, it's actually labeled as an effect as opposed to a second oscillator. So again, very odd design. Something I didn't realize is that the color coding on these knobs corresponds to different parts of the synth that it affects. I think that's a neat kind of design feature that they put into this that I think harkens back to the earlier versions of this. But let's take a listen and we'll conclude with some final thoughts. So there you have it, the 700 FS. I think this is a player synth. It's a very musical synth. It's really, if you like that early 70s analog sound, I think it does a great job of giving that to you. It's a very clean sound. The vintage ones are a little noisier just because of their age and the color's a little different, but it's definitely very similar, and I think just an interesting piece that's unique on the marketplace of monosynths today. Again, I think it might be a flop just for the reasons I stated earlier in the video, but I hope it isn't a flop because I hope Korg does more of these. I really hope they do like a maxi Korg. That would be super cool. But would love to hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts on this synth? Do you think it's flopping? Do you think there's other reasons that I didn't mention? Would love to continue this conversation. Please leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.